This is Septimus and he's living in this cottage in the middle of nowhere. And today we're going to see how this place turned into an enormous city and underwent raids, fires, and even wars on the way. In the beginning, Septimus had absolutely nothing, so he built himself this cottage and made a field for growing crops, and kept some animals like sheep. But it was pretty lonely living there, so his friends settled there too with their own fields and animals. There was a carpenter, a miller, and more farmers. Together, they built a small well to get water from. More and more people came to live there. Septimus married and had a son, Septimus II. The people named the town Car's Peace, and years later, Septimus passed away. One day, raiders emerged from a forest and rushed into the village, taking everything they wanted. Septimus II tried to fight back, but his house was still burned. When the last raider left, the town laid in shambles. Septimus II's house was destroyed, but with the help of a carpenter, it was quickly rebuilt and just like new. It was new. A new church was built, and the village was now of considerable size. People started gathering at the marketplace. Septimus, now the third, went there too and managed to sell all his crops. With his new money, he hired 2 workers. "Do you want to work for me? I'll pay nicely." Afterwards, life went easily with others doing his work. But a few years later, it happened again. The raiders were back. Everybody gathered together and had to watch their own town being plundered. After the raiders left again, the villagers held a meeting. "We know where they came from. They came from the northwest. We need a wall built. It has already begun." So a wall was erected to prevent further raids. Over the course of the next years, the village grew denser and more people came. But then it happened. A fire broke out and quickly spread. But brave Septimus IV, and with the help of a well, used the water to stop and eliminate the fire. Still, the damage was done. When the king passed through a few days later, he saw the damage and... "What the happened here?"
I think you shouldn't cuss in front of children, Your Majesty.
"Kill him!" "Your Majesty, it was a fire, and he stopped it and saved us." The king rewarded Septimus IV for his act of bravery, and he used his money to rebuild the town. Also, new buildings were added like the town hall and tavern. As the peaceful years passed, so grew Septimus' family. On one occasion, the people had the idea of starting a mine near the town. Suddenly, an enemy king arrived with his armed force and spoke. "You have something I want. Attack!" The villagers formed a defensive line, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Soon, the town was conquered by the new monarch. Mining had to be stopped because the new king forced everyone to cut down trees for building his fleet. Some people were against this, but they were executed brutally. Quickly, the forest became smaller. For years, the king ruled with force, until one time the old king came back with a huge army. He forced the new king out of town, and the people rejoiced. Septimus X lived a calm life until the Black Death overcame the region. This disease caused many to die, and the population was reduced to a third. Just as matters couldn't get worse, another fire broke out, and after it was finished, many houses were rebuilt with stone to prevent more fires. Schools and libraries were built too. Years later, Septimus XIV sold his field and decided to become an apothecary, and suddenly many factories were constructed, and the population grew like wildfire, making Car's Peace a big town. The mine collapsed sometime and was abandoned. Also, new roads were paved for cars and railroads were built for trains. Many handworkers lost their jobs due to the factories and left the town, but Septimus XIV lived well. Then the people protested against the king, forcing him to abdicate, and the country became a democracy. Just then, a war broke out. Trenches were dug to protect Karl's peace, and many citizens fled away. But Septimus XIV enlisted as a soldier. He fought bravely at the front, but just stayed in the trench. During the war, many of his friends perished. When the war was finally over, Septimus XIV had not even seen the enemy. He went back to Karl's peace and began gambling in a casino. Unlike most people, he became obscenely rich and could afford to buy a villa. His son Septimus XV started a chocolate company and had a good life. There were many companies in town now. There were also a police station, a fire department, and a large hospital. The biggest companies built tall skyscrapers that towered over the entire city, which was becoming pretty big. But then another war broke out. Tanks rumbled through the city. They were stationed there for defense, and the enemy commenced the attack. More and more rockets soared through the air and destroyed the city. And even more rockets were launched until Karl's peace was no more. Everything was gone except Septimus XVII with a small cottage. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.